Let's talk about Rainbow Six.
Macca's guides.
I'm super excited to talk about Rainbow Six Siege Velvet Shell. Before today's video, we do have a sponsored message. Gaming is a huge industry where creative individuals are needed to make the next big game. If you want to get involved in the gaming industry, Full Sail University can show you how to get started. If you want to make video game art, the Game Art undergraduate degree gets you working with the tools that the professionals use. If you prefer coding, there's a game development undergraduate degree, and if you prefer mobile games, there is a graduate program too. Full Sail grads have worked on games like Destiny and the Call of Duty series, and since you'll need the right tools and technology to learn, Full Sail University provides all of their students with a laptop and all of the software they need. Visit fullsail.edu/YouTube to learn more. Thanks. Hey guys, Macca here. For those who follow me on Xbox Live, they know that I play a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, yet I don't really make a lot of videos about it because I don't think it necessarily fits my channel, and I don't know how much you guys would like them. But I did decide to make a review of the Velvet Shell update from year 2, talk about the new operators, the new map, if I think the season pass has value, and answer some of your questions. I will be going quite in depth in the video because I want it to be useful to all Rainbow Six Siege players, so I might be using some terminology you might be unfamiliar with if you don't play a lot of the game. Quickly, for those who are unfamiliar with the Rainbow Six Siege DLC model, the way it works is that you can buy a season pass to get early access to certain operators, but if you don't buy that season pass, you still get to play all the content that everyone else gets. The only difference is you'll have to wait an extra week as well as have a lot of renown to try out the new characters. So with the release of Velvet Shell, we saw 2 new Spanish operators as well as a new map called Coastline, some new Velvet Shell weapon skins, the Rook Elite armor, as well as some year 2 season pass bonus perks for some people, and we saw a lot of updates to the game like a new main menu, as well as some behind the scenes changes like rank icons and improvements to the red dot sites. Let's get straight into the new operators and how they affect the game and whether those changes are good or bad and whether they're worth your time. First off, we have Jackal, the new attack operator, which has an assault rifle as well as a shotgun in his primary slots, and he has a PDW-9, which I don't think anyone will ever use. The unique feature to him is that he has a shotgun in his secondary, which is going to be very useful for getting rid of walls and going close range if you need to. He also has a breach charge and a stun, and his ability allows him to track footsteps on the ground and then pin enemies on your team's HUD, allowing you to track that person on the map for 40 seconds in 10-second intervals. Now, I actually didn't really expect to like Jackal as much as I do, and he's one of my new favorite operators. I think his assault rifle is super strong, and I think his ability really shakes up the meta and allows you to pick on some of those roamers that are getting pesky and delaying your team in reaching the objective. On the flip side of that though, I've also found that sometimes getting your footsteps tracked by him is a good thing because it means the enemy team will rush you when you're on defense, and sometimes if you find a really good doorway and wait, they will come in waves, allowing you to get easy kills. So it's a very high risk, high reward gadget. I also think it's really good against people who try to spawn kill by running outside of the building, as if they survive, they will leave footprints and they can be easily tracked. Overall, Jackal is a really good addition to the lineup without being overpowered. He can be very useful in certain situations, which makes him a strong pick and exactly what I'm looking for in new operators. The other operator is Mira on defense, and her notable primary weapon is the Vector, which is definitely a fan favorite. She also has a shotgun secondary as well as a deployable shield or nitro cell and has high armor, and her ability allows her to put a one-way mirror into walls that can also be ejected from the inside when desired. This allows you to see perfectly through a window inside of a heavily guarded objective while the enemies see nothing but a black pane of glass. Mira is another strong addition to the lineup without being completely overpowered. She seems to be less useful in casual games where you don't get to select your spawn, but I imagine that she's going to be a must pick for most high-level ranked games. She seems to also be a high-risk, high-reward type operator because although you get the edge at the beginning of the round, the enemy is able to shoot out the window pane from the other side using their guns or a Twitch drone. This will basically leave a giant gaping window into your objective that you may not have wanted, and allows the enemy's sightlines into the objective without having a Hibana or a Thermite. The interplay between Mira and other operators is really cool, really fresh, really exciting, and really shakes up the meta. For example, on offense, you can use a Mon tank to completely block their hole once they open it, or on defense, you can use a Tachanka in order to guard a hallway that you think the enemies are definitely going to come through. Like I said, her gadget is really a double-edged sword, and it's nice to see a small shift to making plays versus just camping corners. It makes games have a lot more action and have a lot more excitement without losing the tacticality of Rainbow Six. Next up, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the new map, Coastline. First off, it's beautiful and colorful, which is a nice shakeup, and I personally think it's one of the best DLC maps they've put out. From what I've played, it seems pretty balanced, although I think attackers have a small advantage, and the layout and destructibility allow for a lot of options and a lot of really cool angles. It also seems to be designed with spawn killing in mind, and by that I mean that spawn killing seems to be a little bit difficult, although peeking outside from a window or getting on top of a balcony for a flank is still possible, which is the type of gameplay that I think should still be in Rainbow. Personally, from what I've played of it, I think it might be the strongest non-launch map so far. As someone who was also a Rook main for a very long time, it's cool to get a Rook Elite skin, and although I usually don't like the universal weapon skins, I think they did a pretty good job in this patch. So overall, everything I've said so far about Velvet Shell has been positive, although I am looking at it from a perspective of a hardcore player and not someone who is approaching the game for the first time. There's definitely a larger and growing learning curve into getting into Rainbow Six, and this probably complicates things a hell of a lot more. What I will say is that I really like how the new operators shake up the meta and really change the fundamental gameplay and decision making from moment to moment. However, at the same time, I will say that I don't know who Ubisoft hires in order to test these games, but they need to find someone who can do a better job. The fact that there are obvious and easily repeated glitches in an online shooter of this caliber is just not acceptable. The Rainbow Six team has this unique ability to think of cool and creative new operators for the game, but then fail at the last step of execution. Rainbow Six Siege is my favorite shooter of the last decade, but it is so frustrating to get new operators that end up becoming completely useless in high-ranked competitive gameplay because of stupid and easy-to-do glitches. Also, for the love of God, please get better servers. It also feels like they make really unnecessary changes, like having all of the operators in the headgear menu have derp faces, which seems really weird for them to be taking a step back on something that's not that important. I'm not trying to discourage you from trying out Rainbow Six Siege for the first time or trying Velvet Shell if you used to be into Rainbow Six Siege. However, I do think these issues need to be noted, and I wanted to include them in my video to see if they get addressed in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching my small video about the Rainbow Six Velvet Shell update. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informational. If you did, drop a like. If you want to, share the video with a friend. I'd appreciate it. Special thanks to Drop Dead Artemis and Darth Dave 89 for supporting the show on Patreon, and hopefully I see you guys next time. Peace.
He was over there.
Woo! That's an ace, baby.